kind of blending into something else there. But
well, let me ask you, what does it mean for Khabib? What does he do now? I mean, do you think that this kind of kills his chances to fight Conor? Because he was the dude, in my opinion, that had the style to beat him.
Well, 1,000,000% it kills his opportunity to fight Conor, and I'll tell you why. And it actually puts the UFC in a very difficult position because Tony Ferguson versus Khabib was going to be an amazing fight. And honestly, I don't know who was going to win that. It's one of those fights I don't know. With the wrestling of Khabib, you kind of got to lean to him. But props to Eddie Bravo. Tony was working closely with Eddie, and I could have seen a submission from Tony. So I honestly don't know who would have won that. But I will tell you this: there's no way. I mean, obviously it hurts the UFC short term because the fight never happened, and that had to have affected pay-per-view sales, unfortunately. But there's no way now down the line that Conor is ever going to accept a fight with Khabib. If they make that rematch with Khabib and Tony, and Khabib wins, there's no way Conor's going to accept that because he's going to say, I'm not taking the risk of having an entire fight camp for him not to make it to the octagon. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is, I almost feel like Conor's the type of athlete where you don't want to give him more time. I feel like Conor's just going to keep on getting better. He seems to be progressing more and more. So the more time you give him to work on the ground game, the more time you give him to work on wrestling, I feel like it's just now's the time. Kind of watching after what happened with Nate, if you're going to beat Conor with that game plan, you got to do it earlier.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because this all happened preemptively to 209. And 209 was, a fine event. We could talk, obviously, about it. But, Khabib, and I think I can say his name now. I think I got it.
Khabib. I think you actually say Khabib.
Well, no, his last name is the problem.
Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
That's a lot.
It's very simple, Lewis.
He better be a fucking world champion with a name like that.
Nurmagomedov, and here's my American accent, little fuckwit. Now let's move on with the show because this is bullshit.
All right, man. Cool. Got it. Yeah, you talk like fucking John Wayne, like you watch Western movies.
So listen, here's a fun little point. When I was having a drink in my hotel room with someone that shall remain nameless but works for Paradigm, we started finding out about the Khabib thing then. We started finding out that Nurmagomedov was out of the fight. And we were like, holy crap.
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Friday morning. It was early, the wee small hours. It's such a shame because that fight is the fight that everybody was looking forward to. I mean, the main event as well, of course. But for me, my son, and I think a lot of people, certainly all the Russians that had flown into Vegas, because there was a lot of Russians there, they were looking forward to that fight. Tony and Khabib had sold it fantastically. And just such a shame, and it's just crazy. I think he got within 6 pounds of that, and then his body just shut down and he went to the hospital. The Dana saying they went rogue and went to the hospital by themselves.
Wow.
And I'm always kind of curious about that. Listen, I don't know because I wasn't there. Maybe he was this bad. But, I mean, when you cut weight, it's awful. It does not feel good. You're extremely dehydrating yourself. But for me to actually say to my teammates, take me to the hospital, I think I'm going to die. That's got to be extreme. Now, we know Khabib has made weight, and he's a fighter, and he's a fantastic, amazing fighter, 24-0. But I don't know. How bad was it? I mean, he must have been bad to say, let's go to the hospital.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just weird.
He's a guy he's pulled out of a lot of fights, been injured a lot. There's been a lot of questions. I don't know. And once again, I only speculate from a fan's perspective, but there's something happening where there's smoke, there's fire. If there's guys like Cain Velasquez is a guy, he gets injured so much that you have to go, there's something there. It's not once in a while. It's happening over and over and over again. So whether it's weight cutting or an injury or whatever it is, there's something happening in his camp where you almost have to change. Be like, are you really just that prone to injuries?
Who, Khabib?
Yeah.
Well, no, but this had nothing to do with injuries. This had to do with the weight cut.
Yeah.
And, so it wasn't an injury. I think basically, I don't know where he started from, but one would have to assume, the logic would say that he just started too heavy. He got within 6 pounds.
195, they said he was when he started cutting weight, or when he started his camp.
How heavy?
195 when he started camp.
Jesus Christ, 195 when he started camp. So he's already 40 pounds over. Let's say he lost 20 pounds in camp. I mean, and again, that's a lot to lose, 20 pounds in camp. So let's say he lost 20 pounds. That means he was 175. 20 pounds is a lot to lose week of the fight. It really is. So let's say he lost 14, which is a hard task on your body. I mean, I start my weight cut the night before, and I'm generally 12 pounds over. And I put I cover myself in a product called Sweet Sweat, which opens your pores and just makes you sweat like crazy. Then I put on a sauna suit, and then I put a tracksuit on. And then, oh no, sorry, that's the old way I used to do it. The old way. The new way that I do it, I cover myself in Sweet Sweat, and then I get into a hot bath. A hot bath with about 10 liters of salt. As hot as I can take the bath, which isn't very hot because I'm a pussy. But I put 10 liters of salt in there, cover myself in Sweet Sweat, lie in the bath for around 20-25 minutes. And then I get out of there, and then I've already had the room heated to as hot as it will go. Sometimes I bring in a few space heaters as well just to really amp up the temperature. And then from the bath, I put my sauna suit on, and then I jump into bed, and my teammates cover me in as many towels as they can get hold of. Typically like 20-30 towels because the layers generate heat. Put one over my face as well. And I lie there for 20-25 minutes, and the sweat is pouring out of me, believe you me, because I'm already so internally hot because of the bath and because of the salt osmosis. It drags water out of your body. Then I get back in the bath and I repeat the process. That typically does around 7 pounds. I go to sleep and I repeat the process in the morning. I'm typically within a pound, and then I'll exercise, sauna, whatever, that off. So I'm assuming he did something similar. Whichever way he does it, he got within 6 pounds. So I don't know why he didn't just like maybe rehydrate a little bit, go to sleep, and then try again in the morning. You know, so I mean, I wasn't there. I mean, maybe he had a severe problem. Maybe his kidneys started shutting down or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I guess when he does an interview, you know, we'll know more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a thing. I mean, Rogan, I think, has talked about it recently about there being a real major issue with weight cutting. And, you know, I know there was an issue recently. It wasn't in the UFC, but it was another organization. I might have even been overseas where somebody actually died during the weight cut.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was in the U.S., but it was fairly recently, less than a year ago.
Yeah. I recall.
But there's it's like a real issue. And I know what they did, or I had heard with, like, I guess certain colleges do the weigh-ins like right before the actual match, so it really makes it difficult for guys to go out and do these extreme weight cuts. They won't be prepared to wrestle if they actually do that. Is that something that you think would be a good solution? Just have everybody weigh in, you know, an hour before the fight. You know, why not?
Yeah, well. The thing is, because what you're going to get there is you're going to get people cutting weight and then not having the time to rehydrate and then fighting. And then what you're going to have is people getting brain injuries, brain damage, and possibly deaths inside the UFC. So I understand your logic, but I think the competitive nature of people will still cut weight and then fight. In wrestling, I think what they do is, and again, I'm no expert on the wrestling world in the US, but my son does wrestle, so I've learned a little bit. They frequently have to do hydration tests, and based upon those tests, they are told how much weight they're allowed to cut and what weight division they can go down to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that kind of takes care of that a little bit. Also, the UFC started bringing in a rule a little while ago where when we arrived fight week, we had to be within 8% of our fight weight. So if we were 185, we were allowed to be 8% of 185 over. You know, so, but I don't know how strictly.
I don't know if it's a UFC or was it California? Was it the state or was it?
Yeah, you're right. It probably was the state actually. But even still, even if that was brought in across the board, the problem with that becomes is that people can then just cut weight for when they get on that scale. They say, "Shit, I'm going to be within 8%. Just got to run a couple of miles on the treadmill, lose 2, 3, 4 pounds, and then get on the scale." You know, so there's always ways around it. Unfortunately. Boxing doesn't seem to have these problems because they don't have the, this history of weight cutting.
Well, you know what it is with boxing, though? I think that they don't, the weight, I don't think it means as much as with the grappling, right?
No, for sure. Well, with the wrestling, I think that's where the real weight cutting tradition came from in the UFC. It came from the wrestling background. Of course, people do cut weight a little bit in boxing, but not to the extreme that we do. And if I'm honest, you know, listen, it's never good for you because, and I always say this, it's so funny. In a training camp, you know, prior to what GSP says about drinking, whatever, in a training camp, we treat our body like a temple. For 8 weeks, we get early nights. We eat the best foods. We work out 2, if not 3 times per day. We make sure we get active rest. We take supplements, legal supplements, of course. You know, we take all the vitamins we can get our hands on that are legal. We really take care of ourselves. I get a massage twice a week. I get multiply stretched out by a professional stretching guy to make sure I'm limber and my flexibility is good. I treat my body like a fine, it's a fighting machine.
Do you get massaged by a dude or a chick?
No, it's a chick.
Yeah.
Lauren.
I would feel weird getting massaged by a dude.
100%. It's happened before, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I call me weird and childish and pathetic, but it's just, I don't know. It just ruins the experience. But I guess if you close your eyes, it feels the same.
Welcome to my college years.
Use your imagination and you're good, Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where was I? No, but listen. So we treat our bodies, and when we get in the peak of physical condition, and then 24 hours before the fight, we pretty much kill ourselves. So it is just stupid. I wish everybody would fight at the intended weight class. Like I used to fight at 205, but I was fighting guys that were 230. Now I'm the same weight, but I just killed myself the day before the fight because the guys at 185, they're all weighing the same as me. I wish we would just allow people, well, people should not allow them, encourage people to fight at their natural weight class. Bring in a cruiserweight division, so like a 220-pound for those guys that are light heavyweight now, and then over that we have the heavyweights. That's what I would like to see happen. But of course, it's the competitive nature of everybody. Yeah. Everybody wants to win, so therefore they make the sacrifices.
You would think also the UFC, considering how much they fucking love to put interim titles around people's waists, you would think that they would start throwing together more divisions, 195, 220 pounds. They could probably do two divisions between 205 and 265. That's crazy.
Well, they could certainly bring in a cruiserweight, and they could bring in a 195. I mean, the thing is, in boxing, if you look at it, I'm not sure exactly, but it's like every 3 or 4 pounds. But I do think also that hurts boxing a little bit because there is too many champions.
There's too many champions now. There's there's an interim title around anybody in the top 50. It's crazy.
No. Come on, let's not get it out of hand. There's two who's the interim belts? So we got
Shannon,
there isn't one at lightweight because that never happened. There's a featherweight interim champion. That's it.
No, well, this was supposed to be for one. Khabib versus
but
Tony
it never happened. So disregard that.
But here's what the UFC does, right? Okay, anytime there's not a title fight happening, they figure out a way to finagle an interim title because what they know is the average person watching this at a Hooters or a Wing Wagon has no idea the difference between an interim title and a real title. They have no idea the difference between Tony Ferguson or Cain Velasquez. They don't know. They just know.
But hold on. Those people watching it at Hooters or a Wing Wagon. What is Wing Wagon? Is that an actual place?
No, I meant Buffalo Wild Wings.